Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Roots Refuge. It is a lovely, almost fall morning. And this morning I'm having to make some decisions on kind of some next steps things here on the farm. So I've kind of been talking about this recently in vlogs, but for us, during the summer, the high months, we do a lot of, obviously, gardening and different things where we're having a lot of harvest. Just the maintenance of things through spring and summer is the work. That's where the work is just staying on top of everything. Of course, we are getting all of our meat animals in. We just process turkeys. We have ducks and chickens left to go. A lot of times whenever we start going into fall, we'll process when we have pigs to process, which I don't think we're going to be doing any of that this fall. But there's a lot of like maintenance work. The winter, which is to say like going into fall and then throughout the entirety of the winter, is when we do projects. So we are just now getting to turn the attention and the labor back on the garden. Up until this point, all the labor that's been in the garden is just planting, maintaining, and harvesting. We've done nothing as far as infrastructure goes for the last few months because obviously it's all full of plants. It's not time to build infrastructure. Now we've got to make some decisions, and by we, I have to make some decisions so that we, and by we, all of us, all the guys and myself, can work on getting those decisions carried out. So here I'm in the first high tunnel. There's the orchard / fowl pond, ducks and geese. And over here is the first high tunnel, which is where we'd gotten some soil that had some contaminants in it. Those contaminants killed a lot of the plants that we put in here, made them real gnarly, cost us a lot of our harvest last year. We did a lot of work to bring some health back to the soil instead of scraping it out, which was using activated charcoal, worm compost teas, which helped obviously build the healthy biome, which worked as remediation, as well as mycelium. I feel really good about where the soil is because we do have some volunteer peppers and ground cherries that have grown out here. When the initial plants had gotten damaged, it was the nightshades that got damaged. We assume because of the way that it responded that it was aminopyrrolid contamination, which is essentially like grazon that ends up being sprayed on grass crops, fed to cows. The cow's manure is collected, sold to composting facilities, and that's how it ends up in home gardens, killing people's home gardens, which is incredibly unjust and frustrating, but it is amendable with a little bit of time and building up your biome. It is amendable, which is good. And now we're getting ready to start really gardening in this space again with, we're going to do some raised beds. And the decision that I was having to make is like what direction we're going to go in. We had talked about potentially like tilling this and like resetting everything, but I'm not going to do that because we put a lot of work into this soil. Now it's got a lot of kind of some weeds growing in it. Actually looks a lot better than it used to. About a month or so ago, Will and I came in here and just like meticulously cleaned it out. Of course, some things have started to come back. But what I think we're going to do here is essentially build a very low raised bed. It's going to be 6 inches, 1 by 6. Exactly where the beds are. We're just going to build up around it, you know, pull the weeds back out of here the best that we can. And then we're going to backfill some more soil on top of that, on top of what's here. We've just worked so hard on getting the soil good. And it's got, I mean, you can see here, it's got lots of good stuff in it with that activated charcoal, with all of the worm castings and the mushroom mycelium. So I don't want to till this, and I don't want to flatten it all out because obviously we haven't been working on the walkways. We've been working on the beds. And so we're just going to add some more soil on top of it. So this is pretty well settled. I did have to decide what to do with the walkways. Maya had gotten some of the ground cover that we have used in other places of the garden, but I think I'm going to forego that and just leave the grass growing. That's purely for my own preference. I like being barefoot out in the garden, and I find the grass a lot easier to walk on. Of course, that ground cover is nice because then you don't have to maintain, you don't have to mow or weed eat the walkways, but it can get kind of squashy sometimes with that ground cover. You've got a lot of water running off of your beds. So I'm thinking with the grass that it might help keep the walkways a little more controlled. Now, we can always go back later and put down the ground cover. It would be easier to put it on the front end, but I feel pretty good about leaving grass down. I just think that that will be really nice to walk on. We put ground cover in that high tunnel, and then the drainage was so poor and there was sitting water and it was gross. Then we ended up having to put gravel over it, and I do not want to do that again. One, it's expensive, and two, it's not fun to walk on barefoot. So we've got the gravel in that high tunnel. It is what it is, but I'm hoping that by leaving the grass in here, we just won't have to deal with that. So this space is pretty well decided, so it's just going to be following through. Now in the other high tunnel, the question here is going to be, how long do I want to leave the peppers in? Because the decision that needs to be made here is, like, leaving these in continues the harvest on them, which is awesome. But the sooner I plant the brassicas and the cold weather stuff, the sooner I'll be harvesting it. Which means that I'm essentially trading peppers now. But look at this. Look at that bell pepper. I'm trading off on more peppers until the first frost versus a head start on the cold weather stuff. Right now I'm leaning towards leaving the peppers in here until the frost kills them, just because I have a lot of space. I have a lot of brassicas being started in seed, and since it stays warmish here in South Carolina through the winter, it stays mild, I can actually plant my brassicas out from starts pretty late and they'll still grow. They'll grow slowly, but I mean, look, if I tear these out, I'm giving up the next month and a half of being able to come harvest fresh peppers out of the garden. So I'm heavily leaning in on that. I think that when we get this high tunnel situated, we'll plant it all. So we'll be harvesting first from there, and this will be kind of the second wave. Look at that purple bell pepper. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love gardening. Oh, look here. Look at the chocolate one. Isn't that glorious? Side-by-side comparison. So good. Hey, Wes. Look at this. Wes appreciates some good garden bounty, don't you, Wes?
Wow.
Purple and chocolate bell peppers. Aren't those lovely?
Yes.
So good. You working on the bed stuff?
Yep. We're about to start cutting the lumber today.
Awesome.
Hopefully get it all put together tomorrow.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Yep. Much excite.
I like to build things.
I know you do. I like you building things. So our friend Leah posted a clip, I don't know, a month or so ago, where she had harvested a bunch of bell peppers and she cut them into strips and then just made, I don't know if you want to say serving sizes, but I mean the right amount on average to cook for a meal for her family. And then she vacuum sealed them to put them in the freezer. And I thought that was really cool. I've done that before with like onions. I've diced bell peppers before and had them in like 1 cup sizes so that whenever I'm making jambalaya or something, I can just pull 1 package out of the freezer. But I like the idea of doing it in slices because I just think it makes it a little more versatile. And I think that's what I'm probably going to do. I've got quite a bit of a bell pepper harvest out there. Right now I come out and grab them whenever I need them fresh, but I need to put some of them up. And I'm thinking that the vacuum sealing and freezing is probably the route that I want to go for these, but I just had to grab these two because they're just so pretty. So this morning, Jeremiah and I were talking about these spaces, and he was going to get Wes lined out. Jeremiah had to leave and take Jackson to the asthma doctor. But he told me, because I told him in the first high tunnel, I just want to stay with the footprint of the current bed. So he said he was going to line Wes out, which obviously he did. But he told me that I have to make a decision on this middle garden. And Will is waiting on me to make the decision. And decisions are hard. So I want some of y'all's input. on this space. I've shared this a little bit, but here in the middle of the garden belt look at that. The deer must have come back. This has to be deer. You see all the tops of these sweet potato vines are gone. It's crazy to me that they're coming over here though, and this is the only thing that they're eating. They really did get at that though. So this section in the middle has been the potato garden for the last couple years. But now we are looking at changing this up. And the decision that I need to make is what layout we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So the sweet potatoes have at least another 4 weeks before we can harvest them. So likely what we're going to do is kind of push those vines back off of this tarp and work on this section first. Now there's some pretty good soil here from, you know, the last couple years of mulching and bringing some compost in. But it's not quite like the high tunnel. We haven't done nearly as much work on the soil. And I'm thinking what we may do is till this all down and sort of reset. But this is becoming a perennial space. And we are setting up muscadines. We're going to put berries. I'm thinking I want to run the beds perpendicular, from those beds. So I want the beds to go this way. And I'm thinking we're not going to mound them. I think we're just going to till this out and make it flat. So my hope for that space is to establish it and then make it as low maintenance as possible. Like anytime you have a garden space, there's going to be some measure of maintenance required, but the idea in a perennial space is to eliminate like the cyclical yearly work. So I'm thinking if we were to establish it flat and then be able to heavily mulch, probably with wood chips, because I know that that's something that we can get, even if it's not something that we can get, like, I sign up for chip drop, which is something where like an arborist will bring chips to you. We have a hard time getting those because we're really rural. I call around to different arborists and try to get them, but usually they want something that's convenient and on their way. But I know we can go pick up mulch, and I think that that would be fine. The municipal mulch would be fine for backfilling that space. And that's what I'm leaning towards. However, with the layout, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. I don't know. Making decisions on perennial things is so hard for me. I just get analysis paralysis, and I need to just rip the Band-Aid off and just do it. I do know my hope for here is we're going to have a fence that runs the length of the garden belt, and it'll have different gates that make the garden accessible from different points. But I want to have something of a separation right here between the raised bed garden and this in-ground, what will be this perennial like berry and grape space. And I'm thinking that we'll do something of like a partition fence with an arbor, and you'll go through into this heavily mulched space where the beds run this way, and then there will be another fence where you go into the no-dig in-ground garden. But what I'm having a hard time deciding is what all to put in here and how I want it arranged. What I think I'm leaning towards doing is running the muscadine trellis, because this thing is going to get really massive. Muscadine plants or scuppernines, they get like just huge. And I'm thinking we'll run all down here one side. This is probably about 60, 75 feet, something like that. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's 80. I need to measure it. But one long trellis of those, which should be plenty for what we want to do with it. And then I'm thinking we'll do like a long row that's like blackberries, a long row that's raspberries. I'll probably do some sort of seating area in the middle, and then we can do some shorter rows of other kinds of berries. Our original plan had been to extend the garden belt on the other side of this drive and go all the way down here with the berries and the scuppernongs and the muscadines and all that stuff. And I've actually changed my mind on that. This is about this little yard here. It's about, I don't know, 1/6 of an acre or so from here down, all of this. And that's a pretty substantial amount of grass. And as it turns out, I think I want to keep this. Our house is going to be where the chickens currently are. I think I want to keep this where we can move some chickens around here and keep them close to the house. And we have plenty of garden space. Check out this little coop. Noah actually built this. We commissioned this from him. It's kind of a variation of Justin's chickshaw design. We're going to put an automatic door on it, but we had this coop built for our pastor and his family to be able to raise some chickens. I think it turned out really well. It's very cute. All right, guys, I just came in the house a little bit ago. While I was filming, Maddie came and brought Harlow to see me. They're getting ready to go out of town, so I had to come have some nanny time. I am making a quick little bite for lunch. As you may know if you've been here, I did a lot of carnivore there for a while, which really helped me get a lot of my inflammation under wraps. I've kind of branched out from that some. I'm still like aiming, when I look at like the week, to be eating about 80% meat. And then my other food that I eat away from that, I'm trying to just make sure that it's whole foods, which I eat minimal grains. I'll do it maybe once a day, like a serving of grains, but even then, not always. And I'm trying, if I am eating grains, to make sure that it's something that's homemade, so it doesn't have a lot of extra additives and things in it that may be inflammatory. So right now I'm making they're corn tortillas. They're not very pretty because I don't have a tortilla press, and I figured I'd share with you guys what I was doing. I just made baba ganoush, which I'm nailing this recipe down. Do you get like fixated on foods? This is something that I've always been this way. I'll get something that I'm hooked on and I'll just eat it every day for like a month or so until I'm tired of eating it. And right now we have just a lot of eggplant coming in from the garden. I looked up a bunch of recipes. Here's the batch that I just made. Isn't that lovely? Baba ganoush is an eggplant dip. It's got garlic, tahini, some olive oil, lemon juice, paprika, parsley, and cumin. And it's so good. So I'm making a few tortillas to eat with this baba ganoush for lunch, and then I'm going to go back outside and work. My tortilla method would be put to shame. If you want to see somebody make like really authentic tortillas, my friend Josephina has a channel called Soil and Saison, and she's like amazing in the kitchen and cooks like authentic Mexican food. So I've got a cast iron pan hot here behind me. It has a tiny bit of tallow in it. So I'll sometimes put a little tallow or lard. It's not necessary, but it kind of helps the edges of the tortilla crisp up if you're using it in a situation like this. This is mesa harina, this is like really finely ground white corn flour. I put hot water in. It's got some lime already in it, and I put a little bit of salt in it. As I said, I do not have a tortilla press, so I'm just making a round ball and pressing down on it with a cutting board. So they're not quite as thin as they would be if I had the right tool here, but I'm also trying to be realistic with myself. I'm really bad about getting fixed on something and wanting to eat it a bunch, and then getting all the tools for it, and then I get over that fixation and then I don't use the tools. So I'm trying to make do, but I will tell you, making tortillas from scratch is like, it's very simple. I don't even measure it. This has the measurements on the back of this King Arthur bag, but I just put some of the flour in a bowl and heat up some water in my kettle, pour it over and mix it till the texture's right, and make just a few tortillas for myself. My friend Jesse just got here. I'm gonna have him taste test my tortilla and baba ganoush.
Baba ganoush!
Do you like eggplants and garlic? I hope so.
I like food. It tastes like hummus.
Yeah, it's got tahini in it. So.
Oh, okay. It's delicious.
I'm glad you think so. Oh, I've got your peppers fermenting. I'm gonna make you hot sauce. This is Jesse. I mentioned.
The hatefully hot sauce.
Yes, this is for you.
To me, you're like, you like spicy stuff? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, this was too hot for me.
Exactly. Y'all look at William's haircut. William, kitty kitty. Oh, he's so handsome. He's having something weird going on with his skin, and so we had to cut him short. And he was acting a little embarrassed when he got home yesterday. All right, I just had my lunch break, and and I am coming down here. I wanted to see something that Will told me about. My neighbor's getting a new roof on, so it's a little bit loud down here. We got all this cardboard. Will went and picked it up today from the roastery where we set up all the shelving and stuff. So he's pulling the plastic off so we can use all of this in the garden. That's like a gold mine of cardboard. Oh, that's smart. So you're just soaking these to get the tape off? That's cool. I wanted to ask Will, he said something about a reishi mushroom growing on one of the oak trees. I was thinking the oak tree's down here, but it's actually the oak tree by the barn he saw it on. Will has like a mushroom radar. I swear, look, he will notice all of the details of mushrooms growing anywhere. Yeah, Daniel sent me a picture yesterday of that big fat stack of cardboard, because he and Maya had been down at the roastery setting up all of those shelves, and I texted him back, hey, save those for me, and right when I sent it, the text from him came through that said, we're saving these for you. I was like, awesome, you guys know me well. All right, we're gonna walk out of here real quick. I wanna look at this mushroom. I'm actually gonna wait to make my decision because I'm gonna put this video up. Oh look, puffballs. We got mushrooms growing all over the place. I want to put this video up, and I'd love to get some feedback on anything that you guys think of that I should consider in putting in that middle perennial space. Hey Gabe. Where we're gonna put the muscadines and the berries. Things that I should think of growing that maybe I haven't thought of. Oh hey Tori girl. What's up? Hi. Kiss? Oh, it's so nice to see you. Tori gives kisses, watch. Hey, baby. Oh, thank you. Can I touch you? Nope. All right. Ah, there it is. Nice. Will brought me a pretty good hunk of reishi that I guess he found. I don't know if he got it off this tree or if he brought it with him. There's another little bit right there. It's good medicine. See ya, girl. You're a good girl, Tori. Getting past this thing, you have to take this off. That's the electric wire. And that thing will light you up. It's really strong because this is where the bull is and the cows are in here. Getting through this requires a lot of concentration for me. We didn't used to have this that came across the gates because for a long time, like, the cows didn't do anything to it, but the bull started to press against these gates and he started bowing them, so we had to run these across. It's kind of a pain. Do y'all remember that time that I hit the fence with my knee while I was talking on a video? Not great. Oh, every time I do that, it's like my stomach hurts. I'm so nervous. I'm gonna shock myself. One quick peek in here. Look here. Oh, my future Baba Ganoush is on here. I feel bummed that it took me so late in the season to get on my eggplant kick. Well guys, I would appreciate the feedback on that garden spot. What are some things that you think I should do? It's about a 60, I think it's about 60 by 80, more or less. And I'm planning on doing perennial things, probably heavy mulch, but if there's any sort of thing you feel like maybe I should add or think about adding, now's the time to be making these decisions. So I love your feedback. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today and all the days that you do. I bless you. Until next time.